Posunieme sa ďalej v programe, čaká nás veľmi zaujímavá prezentácia a zaujímavý bod, ktorým bude Marc Vilanova, ktorý je španielským umelcom. Jeho diela sú známe po celom svete a vystavuje od už spomínaného Japonska až po Spojené štáty a posledné 3 mesiace tvoril tu v Košiciach. Jeho interaktívnu inštaláciu môžete vidieť napríklad aj v synagóge na Zvonárskej ulici počas festivalu Ardentech každý deň od 16. do 20. hodiny. Verím, že vás to zaujíma a pôjdete sa pozrieť. Malú ukážku možno zažijete aj dnes. A ja nebudem dlhšie otáľať. Slovo odovzdávam Marcovi Vilanovi. Stage is yours, Marc.
Thank you. Hi everyone, I'm Marc Vilanova. I'm a sound artist from Spain. And maybe he introduced it, but I've been in Kosice for 2 months now in an art residency program that was created together with creative industry of Kosice and Caer. And the goal was to create an art installation that relates with the topic of this year's conference and festival. So I would like to share with you the creative process and the research I've been doing for this specific project here in Kosice. So the starting point was to find the focus of the project, and in a way, language relies on sound. We are capable to communicate one idea from one person to another using audio waves, producing sound with our mouth. But I am more interested in the other end. I'm more interested into the listening experience. And to start talking about listening, I would like to engage you for a little task, which consists to be in silence, just for 1 minute, and with the eyes closed, and trying to listen as many sounds as we can within this room. So really going into deep listening, and trying to perceive all the sounds that are hitting our eardrums, and creating sort of a list of what we can perceive here. So if you want to join me just for 1 minute, we can experience that. Okay, quite a noisy room. So from my point of view here, it will be different for all of you. I could hear some little noises from the audience, moving legs and the fabrics moving. I could hear 2 photographers clicking the photo and also rolling the settings of the camera. I could hear some sounds outside, some cracking of the floor or chair, I don't know what it was. I could hear this drone noise. I have like some kind of electricity here behind that I think is powering everything. And there are like 3 pitches that are making drone noise with many non-tone sounds. I could hear sounds from the Technic desk, which are many, I think. There is amplifier, the ventilator, maybe the projector as well. I could hear the ventilation system as well, a drone noise. This boost of the speakers, it's like a high pitch with a little air sound. And I also can hear like a high pitch, very subtle from the lights. And I didn't count it, but maybe we could, and maybe you had hear more. We hear maybe 20 sounds simultaneously in this room happening. Right now, if we will stay longer, our ears will expand, we'll go farther, and we will be able to listen even more. Actually, if we are in totally silent, we our bodies also produce sound. The nervous system and the blood flowing in our bodies also produce sound. So luckily, our brain is capable to filter all those sounds, because if not, we will get crazy. So when we are if we are in the streets, that the sounds will multiply, the brain is capable to distinguish the ones that wants to process. Here, for example, it's luckily my voice, the voice of the speaker, because we want to get the meaning. So the other sounds, we don't hear them. We just like take them out. And we could hear 20 sounds, but actually there are many, many, many more that are present in this room, that are surrounding us, and that we cannot perceive. As humans, we have limited senses to perceive nature, and one of them is our audible range. We can only listen frequencies that go from 20 hertz to 20 kilohertz, more or less, the lucky ones. And in difference of other animals have different audible ranges. I don't know if I put it a bit bigger. You can see here we are the purple ones. And other animals use, like for example, if we talk about infrasounds, infrasounds are the sounds that go below what we can hear as humans, below 20 hertz. And animals like rhinoceros, giraffe, alligators, elephants, whales, they can hear infrasounds. For example, elephants that live in Navia, in the very dry regions, they can hear really far distance storms, and they can therefore find water. But those animals, they also use infrasound to communicate. So elephants use infrasound to manage a group or to find individuals capable for reproduction. And actually, infrasound can travel really vast distance. The waves are really long, and they can really travel long distance. So 2 elephants can speak between each other within 4 kilometers of distance, which is a lot. So an elephant can communicate to his or her family in a perimeter of 50 square kilometers. And we as humans will be next to it, and we will not perceive anything. Or maybe some harmonics from the rolling. And in water, actually, the sound even it travels faster, and whales can really communicate through oceans, which is quite amazing. In the other side, we have ultrasounds, which are the sounds above what we can hear as humans, the really high-pitched sounds. And other animals also use those sounds. For example, most of the bats, they use it for geolocation. So if a bat is flying in a forest, for example, is producing ultrasounds, many of them simultaneously, then the ultrasound is hitting a tree, let's say, and the bat gets the reflection of the sound, and therefore knows that there is a tree there, so it won't fly to that tree. And they don't see much, so that's how they navigate through space. And also dolphins and whales, again, use this technology, let's say, for hunting, for example. And all these sounds, as humans, we can only approach them using technology. We need to use technology to expand our senses to be able to capture these realities that go beyond what we can perceive. And that's how I work here in Kosice. That's how I based the project. The festival says that it's language and communication beyond words, so I wanted to go beyond perceptible sound. And when I arrived here, I started contacting many scientists, and I was very interested on what's the real impact of infra and ultrasound in our bodies, in our well-being. I got some studies, one from the US, where they were putting infrasound to rats that had epilepsy. And the study shows how the sound, although the rats couldn't hear it, it was decreasing the amount of disorder in their brain. Another study from Germany, it says that people who live near wind farms, like the wind turbines that produce electricity, they produce also really big infrasounds, and therefore they have problems sleeping at night, and they suffer some kind of stress. So actually there is not enough research on what's the real impact of those frequencies to our bodies. And since we cannot perceive them, we don't really know how it is affecting we are having here many ultrasounds for sure, and it can affect our mood, it can affect the concentration to the conference, but we don't really have studies that can prove that. So ultrasounds and infrasounds can be generated by nature. Animals can generate, but also natural phenomena like earthquakes, volcanoes, explosions, avalanches, storms. But also there are many sources of artificial infra and ultrasounds. And they go from industry to medical appliances to home appliances as well. And one of which is the fluorescent lamp. And that's the one I studied here in Kosice. And I have one here with me to show a little experiment. So the fluorescent lamp is a source of light, but also constant ultrasound. So I worked with this object for this installation, and I wanted to capture those ultrasounds. I wanted to unveil what's the sound that we cannot perceive that this machine is creating. So I'm going to show it to you. It's a very simple example how I can take this sound and make it hearable for us. So here I have a little ultrasonic microphone, and I'm going to show you just the software recording. So we are going to see on the screen, you know, when the visualization of the sound, let's say. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to point the microphone to the fluorescent, I'm going to record, then I'm going to turn it on, and we will see if there is any difference in the visualization of the sound on the screen. So I'm pointing this. So there is a clear difference. Something happened there, but we didn't hear anything. Although if we play this back, we don't hear anything. If we analyze that, we will get to see that around here where I have my pointer, to the right are all the frequencies we cannot hear. So I am more or less at 20 kilohertz. What is in the left we can hear is the click and maybe some air noise. The right we cannot hear. So I'm just going to make a really basic pitch shift. So what I do is I translate these frequencies into frequencies we can hear as humans. Just slow them down. So really simple effect. And I will do it just randomly now to show fast to you. So now I just reduce the the pitch of the recording, and we can see what happens. Doesn't sound so nice, but this creaking, it's kind of fascinating because it's a sound that is present there. It's a sound that is present when we have a coffee break and these lights will turn on. And it's in this room. We cannot perceive it, but it's really intense, and it's here with us. So for the project I created here in Kosice, I record many of those sounds from many fluorescents, and I base the composition only from that material. So I had a vast recording from all those sounds, and I compose the music, and then I create an installation using only fluorescents that I can show here, little picture. So there are 128 fluorescents, and they are synchronized with 4-channel speakers. So we can visualize the ultrasound through their own source, in a way. And the shape of the fluorescents is the waveform of the ultrasound. And the project is called Lemon, which means threshold. It means the place in between. It means the boundary of perception. And that's what gives the shape to the structure as well. It acts as a threshold, dividing the synagogue in two. And it's meant to be a threshold for our perceptual limits, for the visible and invisible, the audible and inaudible, what we can sense and what goes beyond. The project aims to think about our limitations on sensing nature. It aims to push thinking and maybe research on the real impacts of those sounds in our bodies, on our well-being in physical and psychological. And in a bigger picture, it implies the act of listening to the invisible, to listen to the inaudible, the unrepresented, the not yet manifested, as being aware of the multiplicity of realities we live in. We are living in an age where communication, the technology for communication is growing exponentially, but our ability to listen goes nowhere. We are, as John introduced, we are making these robots, these social robots, and we put on them, we project on them the idea of a companionship, a true companionship, the idea that maybe one day they will be our best friends, our partners, or the only ones willing to listen. We create this kind of idea of companionship without the demand of friendship. And I have the feeling this maybe led us to a more individualistic society or more lonely, maybe, I guess. So for me, I think one of the key points is listening. And as a sound artist, I really like to engage the audience to listen, at least during the performance, to really open the ears, to really welcome any form of sound penetrating the bodies. And this is what I enjoy doing as a sound artist. And I would like to make a little listening experience, the last one, that is going to be performing. Besides installation work, I also perform. And when I perform with my instrument solo, I very much inspired by listening to language I cannot understand. When I'm here in Slovakia during these 2 months, and I hear many people speaking Slovak, I'm focused, I listen the sounds you are producing with your mouth, the how you express yourself in Slovak language, and I'm focused on the sound itself. And now when we speak English and we understand each other, our focus shifts into decoding meaning. We want to process the meaning to get the ideas, but we don't listen anymore to the sound itself I'm producing. It doesn't matter. We focus on something else. So I like to translate this idea to my instrument, the saxophone. And I research and develop many techniques that bring the sound beyond what you can expect from a saxophone, the so-called extended techniques, or techniques that the instrument was not built for, let's say. And therefore, I can build a new language, and I can free you to focus on the listening and not on meaning, let's say. So it doesn't sound like a saxophone, or it doesn't sound like what you could expect from a saxophone, but it might lead you to somewhere else. It might invite you to another journey. So I'm going to improvise a little solo piece with the 2 saxophones for around 10 minutes. And thinking only on that idea of creating a new language. And I hope you enjoy.
Take your time, take a breath.
Thank you.
It was amazing.
Thank you.
Yeah. Actually, I had few questions, but I forgot them. So let's hope you're going to help me with Slido. Yeah, okay. So when it comes to questions, at least you're the most popular right now.
Oh my God.
Okay, we don't have a lot of time, but let's pick at least two questions.
Yeah.
I would go for first one.
Okay.
How important is a location for your art? Do you choose it before or after you complete a piece?
Yeah, it's really important. I choose it before it was proposed. And first I know, let's do something in the synagogue, then I think about what. So it's kind of site-specific. We illuminate the synagogue on the balconies with sodium lights to have the ceiling, and the piece really fits in the room, I think.
Okay, so when it comes to, for example, specific case here in Kosice, you went through various venues, various locations, and you picked a synagogue.
First, I picked another one. We created a project.
Which one?
It was the columns outdoors here in Kaserne.
I see. Okay.
The big ones.
Yeah.
So we spent the first months developing a project for that, but finally it was too complicated for wind and fabrics we wanted to place there and so on. So in a month we had to come out with a new project, new location, new form, let's say.
When it comes to weather, you're pretty lucky that you've picked synagogue.
It's really cold, the synagogue. Actually,
Yeah.
it was colder inside than outside.
Cold and wet.
But at least not raining.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So all of them have one like, so you have like 5 seconds to vote for at least one. Okay, we have one. If you learn a new language, do you miss perceiving the sound as opposed to just understanding the meaning, conveyed message?
No, I think there is always, I'm traveling a lot, so I'm always in touch with many languages. And it actually, if I live in a place, when I was living, for example, in Helsinki for a year, I didn't speak the language, and you don't really get the sense of the city. And this is something I miss when I don't understand the language. So if I'm traveling, it's fine. But when I'm based somewhere for a long period, I like to understand what's going on.
Okay. What's your feeling of Kosice through or via the Slovak language? And we have to be honest right now, like the dialect of eastern part of Slovakia and Kosice specifically is specific.
Yeah. I know.
In all of ways you can imagine, it's really specific also in when it comes to Slovakia.
Yeah. I noticed that because in the synagogue I had the big help of Gavi, which was my bedutsi. And he was 63 years old, helping a lot to the installation and speaking only Slovak, and we were, him and me, alone in the synagogue. And
like you.
Toto, dobre, nie dobre, problémy. And with this, yeah, I was laughing like, okay, if the festival goes about language and communication, this is like, this should be the performance.
So you've experienced another installation with Gabi, right?
Yeah, and actually I learned specific words of Kosice, like basmek, or that many things were not working, so it was useful.
Yeah. Besides basmek, what are the other words?
I forgot now. I remember like cool or something like that, like a cool guy.
Niște?
It could be, yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah, something like that.
Okay. And what's your favorite word? I'm not asking about the Slovak one, I'm asking about the one from Kosice.
I think my favorite is dobre, because with Vedutsi we use it for everything, you know? It's from deep talks to whatever we need to do now, you know? Dobre was like the Joker word.
Okay.
And it's my favorite, yeah.
So if you experience a lot of dobre, it's dobre then?
Yeah.
Yeah, cool.
Super dobre.
Okay, dobre.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Marc.
Thank you.
Huge applause. This